Watercolor tips and techniques today. We are going to paint some organic shapes and learn some different techniques of how I come to these shapes. One technique is taking water and painting first an outline with water and then following it with some pigment from your watercolors. Here I am really going to be focusing on making soft and rounded features, and the watercolor that I'm using, I do a heavier line on one side than the other. This starts to allow that pigment to gently flow into this leaf-like organic shape, and I'm going to make a cluster with water. And with the watercolor, following the outline. The beauty about watercolor is that it naturally disperses into the water that you have put down first. The three-dimensional nature of these organic shapes really starts to come through because of the nice blended shading that occurs with water and the pigment. The spheres are very similar in that I create a circular motion and then I'm going to grab some red, just dabble one side so that it allows for that same side that I did on my leaf-like shapes. We'll call these the berry shapes. I put a little more of the dark toward the top, and I took my paintbrush there and taking out some of it was too heavy, but I want to really differentiate just that outer edge so that it gives that nice three-dimensional softness. And we'll continue with these spheres, these little berries, and I just touch it, allow it to go into the water I did. I can dabble it with my paper towel or wipe off my paintbrush and let the paintbrush kind of soak up that water as well. And there we have our little edging. Remember, when you're doing any type of painting, it's nice for the story to come off of the page because that is how things in nature would look. They're not perfectly just on the page. So continuing your story to the edge is preferable. Let's go draw some stick-like wood branches as if this little floral arrangement, we can just add some of that. Now this time, this technique is just direct paint onto the canvas. In particular here, this canvas is watercolor paper, and I just watch how my shapes are going, putting some darker elements in there and allowing the natural tendency of the watercolor to do what it naturally does, which is disperse, but directly painting onto the watercolor paper. The lines are more manipulated by the paintbrush than by the water that was placed, like we did the example of our organic leaves and berries. I'd like to have it be a little stronger in some areas for that brown branch and overlapping itself. I look for areas that I want to add a little heavier line with the pigment of the brown, and I just touch up some of the little areas, not all. When watercolors dry, they give such a beautiful fine line to the outline of the coloring, as well as putting in some of these darker lines, giving a little more definition to these branches. Again, we're going to paint another branch. We're going to bring it off from the side of the paper and give it little growing branches and defining it a little more with edging, with more dark brown to allow this branch shape to come forth. Bringing in another leaf to fill that void. Again, this is more of an exercise of learning how to paint these organic shapes. I'm going to turn this into a little card, so I want to add a little fine line to the background. This is just a little bonus to this tutorial. Little dots. Again, my main purpose with most of my paintings, I I want to focus in on what I started with, and in this case, I'm just giving a fun and festive highlight of those colored pencils in the background. Thanks for coming with me today and learning 2 different types of techniques with water placement and direct watercolor painting. Always wishing you happy creations. Have a great day.